right. Um, well, welcome back, everyone. Um, this is gonna be so far the format that we're gonna keep doing for the lab protocol videos. There's gonna be my talking head here on the corner as my other self demonstrates the activity physically speaking. So um, sorry if it looks a bit odd. Um, I'm sort of still trying my hand with like different editing strategies, but as long as I have something to showcase the protocol well to you guys, I think this is gonna be pretty much how we're gonna be rolling for the remainder of the semester. So without further ado, let's get started. This is going to be the length tension lab. So our purpose with the lab activity is to demonstrate how the length of our muscle during our muscular action affects how much force we can express and how at certain lengths of our muscles we're actually able to be in the ideal range for force expression. So that's when we would express the most torque. And we're going to be demonstrating that in class with two muscles, the quadriceps group, which is what we're going to be using the biodex for. And then we're going to be demonstrating that with our forearm muscles, both in terms of extension, flexion, and just in a neutral grip position. But I'm going to be starting by explaining how to set up the biodex. Luckily for us, the biodex, once you learn how to set it up, it's pretty straightforward. And since we're going to be using this machine in other activities as well, it's good that this is our second lab activity. So that's pretty much set for the rest of the semester. But the first thing that we're going to want to be doing is set up the machine and make sure that it's has the correct attachments to it. So what I'm showcasing in the video is the attachment for knee flexion and extension. As you can tell, I just cut the part in which I was twisting the attachment off. It just takes a while, as you'll see in class, but in order to make sure that the attachment is put correctly so that there's full range of motion for flexion and extension, you're going to have to be placing it in a way in which the moment arm is as close to the seating as possible. The good thing is that most of the time in class that attachment is already going to be present, so it's not something that we're going to have to be doing every single time we're in class. I'm just doing it now because in case there's any malfunction with the biodex, in order for it to reset, the app is going to ask you to take any attachment off, allow it to run on itself, and then put it back on. So that's what I'm doing right now. Yes, and I'm reattaching it towards the end. After that, we're going to make sure that the patient is present in the patient database. So we're going off the scenario that this is a brand new patient, first time they've ever done a protocol. So we're going to be going on the higher left, whereas the patient tabs are open. We're going to add new patient. And you can tell which parts are necessary to add the new patient based on what's highlighted in red. So you're going to need a last name for sure. If you know the first name, you might as well add it. So here I'm just inventing a new name. You're going to want to make sure that their gender is established as well. In this case, we're going with female. An approximate of their weight, and what leg they're using for the activity. In most of our cases, the leg is always going to be the right one. And then you have to put their EID, so the one that has both the letters and the numbers. So make sure you remember yours prior to us coming back to class. It's just easier to then search for them in the patient database. After that is saved, as you can see, we're going to go and select protocol. The protocol that we're going to be selected for this class activity is in the isometric, unilateral, and knee extension and flexion. I'm going to stop it for a second. As you can see, it's pretty easy to find the protocol itself. It's straightforward. It's just called lab length tension. So we're going to go ahead and select that. And then what it's going to ask you to do immediately afterwards, let me go back real quick, is to set their range of motion. That has to be done prior to each protocol, and ideally as one person is operating the computer itself, somebody else is helping the patient get set based on their anthropometric measure. So this is what we're going to see right now. So imagine that this is occurring at the same time. each person has pretty logical assumption that each person has different anthropometric measures. In this case, we're talking about lower and upper leg lengths. So that's what we're going to be adjusting the seating based on. As you can see, the seating can both be raised with one of the two circles in the back and then lowered. And then it can be shifted either forward or backward. You're going to feel when it's in place by hearing a click or just going back and forth with the handle on the seat to make sure that it's in place. We're doing so to make sure that no matter what, the patient knee is aligned with the axis that is the one that allows the movement in the biodeck. So the big black circle that you see on the upper left side. So just keep going back and forth, up and down, and then look at the patient sideways so that you can see that the axis of their knee corresponds to that axis. Once it's set according to their measurements, you're going to go ahead and either help them wear the seat belts or just have them do that themselves. You're going to want two seat belts. You're going to want one that it's on their side, as I'm doing right now, and then there's going to be the one to strap their femur onto the seating. This is to make sure that we're isolating the muscle activity so that it's happening just at that specific joint. This latter part that I'm doing, it would be better if the person helping them to set up is doing that part instead of me, but I was alone in the lab, so I'm doing it myself. As you can see, I'm strapping my lower leg, and I'm doing it pretty tight because you're going to be exerting pretty much a maximal force on the machine, so you want to make sure that it doesn't get undone. The reason why I would rather have somebody else help them set it up is that, as you can see, the pad is right above my heel, which is where you want it to be positioned for each individual. Because people have different leg lengths, you're going to want to alter the size of the moment arm, which you can do by undoing the other triangular valve that you see close to my leg, either going up or down. And as you do that for each patient, somebody has to make sure you have a piece of paper or their laptop that they take account of what measurement is being used for that specific patient, and all patients' measurements are collected in terms of their limb length, because we're going to be needing that at the end of the lab to then process all of the data that we collected. So just something to take into account. And at this point, the patient should be set, so we can go back to the other portion of the video where we're setting their range of motion. As you can see, the first thing that I went ahead and did was clear the limits, because no matter what, we have to reset the range of motion for each new patient, and even for the same patient multiple times if we're doing multiple protocols with them. So the first thing that I go ahead and do is clear limit. Then what I'm going to ask the patient to do with the help of this instrument that I'm about to show on the left side. Here it is. As you can see, on top of it, it has a button that you're going to have to click to lock their leg in place when you're measuring the extreme ends of their range of motion. So the first thing that you're going to ask the patient to do is to try to keep track of the upper left corner of the smaller quadrant that it's within the screen. As you can see, there's a faint yellow line that is moving upward. That happens when the person is extending their leg. So you're going to ask the patient to extend their leg as far up as their range of motion allows. Then you're going to click on that instrument that I showed before, and that's going to set their leg in place so that they don't have to keep the leg contracted and try to stay as still as possible. So that's very convenient. And you're going to set it in place, and then you're going to go on the screen and just set a weight limit. So that's one part done. Then you can re-click on the instrument from before and allow the leg to slowly go back down as it's happening with the faint yellow line. Then you're going to ask them to contract it towards themselves as much as possible, literally to the point where the moment arm is touching the under part of the chair where they're sitting on. And then you're going to lock it in place again, and you're going to set the toward limit. And as you can see, The range of motion now appears in red in the upper left quadrant of the screen. And then you're going to ask them to sort of just relax their leg, and they're leaving it sort of dangling at 90 degrees, which is when you're going to click calibrate position in the last part of the screen. And at that point, you're going to click the red button at the end, and then the range of motion should be set. Before starting the protocol, you're going to, again, have to click start. This is not shown in the video because I didn't have somebody to run the test with me, and you'll see it in class as well. But before the student is able to initiate the protocol itself, a traffic light icon is going to appear on screen, and the patient has to be completely still until the green traffic light gives them the all-out signal to actually go and start the protocol. Not shown here because I couldn't run the protocol by myself, but what the protocol is going to be consisting of, and make sure that you double check the written protocol as well on Canvas prior to taking the quiz, is that they're going to be performing 2 isometric contractions, approximately lasting 5 seconds, for 4 different angle positions, sort of to demonstrate that at different angles the muscle would be at different lengths, and we're going to be seeing which length the muscle performs the highest torque at. So that's the purpose of the lab, and we're going to be giving 2 contractions per angle so that the person can actually really try to get the most out of that angle position. Just make sure that you follow the instructions on the screen itself. The protocol will run itself, but it's always better to have somebody next to the laptop. Most of the times it's going to be me. I would like that by the end of the semester we're so used to using Biodex that a student can run it themselves. But just make sure that you offer some form of encouragement to the patient that is on the Biodex. So it's going to be a submaximal, if not maximal, contraction. So it's going to take a lot from them. It's nothing that you guys are not capable of doing, but just make sure that you offer whoever is doing the correct type of encouragement. So this is in the instance in which a student has to either repeat a protocol or do a completely different kind. This is what the patient database looks like. As you can see, there is a lot of people, so we need either their last name or their patient ID to go and look for them. Right now I'm looking for a John Doe, so I'm just putting his last name. It's gonna appear, and all the previous protocol that is done in the past, both the incomplete and complete ones. What we're gonna go ahead and do is select new protocol for him. And then we're gonna go in the same protocol list that we had from before. And as of right now, I'm actually selecting a protocol that we will be doing later in the semester, which is called the QH ratio, isometric. And I'm just going ahead, selecting it. And then the same thing as before would happen, and we would have to reset a range of motion for them. So clearing limits and all of that. That being said, that's the Biodex portion of the lab. So just applying that concept to the quadriceps muscles. Now we're going to be demonstrating how to do that with the forearm muscles, and that's through a grip strength protocol. What I'm gonna go ahead and do in the video is showcase the hand dynamometer. Make sure that you don't have anything on your wrist that it's gonna impede your movements. And as of right now, I'm removing my watch and setting it aside. Then simply enough, we're going to be turning on our dynamometer with the on button. And we're going to be performing 3 different movements in the same way that there's 4 different joint angles for the Biodex protocol. There's going to be 3 different angle positions for the wrist to be performing at. The first one is going to be a neutral position in which your elbow is going to be maintaining 90 degrees at all times. So try to make sure to not move it around too much in an attempt to increase your force exertion throughout this protocol. So just keep it close to yourself. Keep a neutral wrist, so neither extended nor flexed. And then you're going to go ahead and try to contract forcefully as hard as you can for 3 to 5 seconds. I'm showcasing my score, and then ideally you would wait like, I don't know, a little bit before then redoing that same type of contraction, either with the extended or flex position, but right now I'm just doing it to show it. This is the flex position, where you're also trying to maintain a 90-degree angle with your wrist, depending on different people and their wrist range of motions, like previous injuries and stuff like that. It's hard for some people to get to the position. Just get as close as you possibly can to 90 degrees and try to maintain that through the forceful contraction. So that's what I'm doing right now. Also keeping track of that score. And then I'm going to do the last movement for the extension. And that's all that I would have in terms of what to do for this specific lab. I'm trying to, yep, here we go. Different type of ability for sure to be able to do editing and such, and I hope you guys have some patience with me, but I'm happy of what I showcased. This is all that you guys need to know for the activity. Of course, there's going to be some elements that you're gonna understand the nuisance of when we're actually performing the activity in the lab. This is what the lab is for you guys to get hands-on experience on those concepts and those different experiments. Make sure that you review the lab protocol document, the lecture, and the PowerPoints, and this video that you're watching right now. Complete the quiz, and if you have any questions, again, please check your resources before reaching out to any of your instructors. It saves you time, it saves us time, and hopefully anything past that we're going to be able to clarify for you either during class or student office hours. So that's all I have to say for the video. You guys let me know, again, anything other than syllabus type of information, and I'll see you in class next week.